An 8-year-old girl, soaked in snow and desperation, slips into a luxury hotel, surrounded by billionaires and bodyguards, and steals the wallet of the richest man in the room. Dominic Grayson. Ruthless. Untouchable. A tech giant with zero tolerance for mistakes. But what she didn't know was that she had just stolen from her own father. Inside that wallet? Cash, sure. But also a photo of her mother. And a paternity test, with her name on it. Now the billionaire wants revenge. The mother wants to stay hidden. And the daughter? She just wants to know who left them behind. What happens next will shock you. Hit that subscribe button now and join the Hidden Republic, where the stories are deep, raw, and unforgettable. It was the kind of night where the cold didn't just sting your skin, it cut through your bones. The city was glowing in luxury, Rolexes, red carpets, and Rolls-Royces, but 8-year-old Lila? She was just a shadow. A ghost in a ripped hoodie, moving through a world that had forgotten she existed. Her tiny fingers were red with frostbite. Her shoes, duct-taped and soaked through, made squishy sounds with every step. She wasn't here to beg, or cry, or feel sorry for herself. She was here because her mother was dying. That morning, Lila had woken up to find Carmen, her once strong, vibrant mother, collapsed on the kitchen floor, lips pale, eyes sunken, and breathing like every breath was a battle. The doctor at the free clinic didn't even look her in the eyes when he said, "Advanced kidney failure. Without treatment, she won't make it through the week. No insurance. No relatives. No money. No mercy from a system that didn't care." Lila had $4.27 in a cracked piggy bank and a heart full of desperation. She walked through Manhattan like a ghost, unnoticed by the rich and powerful who passed her without a glance. And then, fate struck. She was outside the Lexington Grand Hotel, a place she'd only seen on TV, the kind of hotel where every doorknob probably cost more than her mom's life. A place where billionaires laughed and luxury breathed through marble floors and velvet ropes. And there, as if heaven had handed him to her, stepped out Dominic Grayson. The youngest tech billionaire in the country. A legend. Ruthless in business, feared in boardrooms, loved by no one, and worth over $60 billion. He wore a black Italian coat, the kind that looked soft as clouds and sharp as blades. His shoes sparkled like they'd never touched a sidewalk. He walked through the lobby like he owned the air in it. Lila ducked inside, unnoticed. Security glanced at her, but she kept her head low. She watched him closely. He moved to the bar, talking on the phone. And then it happened, the moment that changed her life. The corner of his wallet, a thick, black leather one, peeked out of his inner coat pocket. It was practically begging to be taken. It was just there. Like the universe had left her a lifeline. And she was drowning. She didn't think. She moved. One deep breath. One heartbeat. She bumped into him. "Sorry, mister," she whispered, eyes wide and innocent. Dominic barely looked at her. She slipped her small hand into his coat like a whisper of wind, smooth, silent, and when she pulled away, the wallet came with her. She was gone in seconds. Out the door, through the icy street, slipping into the alley behind the hotel. She ducked behind a dumpster, chest pounding, heart threatening to leap out of her throat. Her fingers trembled as she opened the wallet. She expected money, and there was money. Thousands. Stacks of bills that looked like they'd never been touched. Her eyes filled with tears. Her mother could live. But then, something else. A photo. She froze. Her breath caught. It was her mother. Carmen. Smiling. Younger. In a sundress. Standing in the sunlight like she didn't have a care in the world. Lila blinked. Was she dreaming? Beneath the photo, a folded paper. She opened it slowly, hands trembling. It was official. A paternity test. Her name was printed on it. Child, Lila M. Lopez. Father, Dominic A. Grayson. Probability of paternity, 99.98%. Lila's whole world tilted. Her fingers loosened. The wallet nearly dropped from her hands. She had just stolen from her own father? Was this real? Was this a prank? Or a mistake? She ran all the way home, the snow hitting her face like slaps of reality. She burst through the door, panting, and dropped the wallet onto her mother's bed. Carmen's eyes opened slowly. She gasped when she saw the wallet, recognizing it instantly. Where did you get that?" she rasped. Where did you get that?" she rasped. "I had to save you, Mama," Lila whispered. "I had to. I took it from a man at the hotel. A man named Dominic Grayson." Carmen went pale. Her hands shook. She looked like she'd seen a ghost. "Lila, listen to me." Her voice cracked. "That man is your father." Lila blinked. "What?" Carmen wept. Years of secrets spilled out between sobs. 9 years ago, she had fallen in love with Dominic. He wasn't a billionaire then, just a genius with a dream. But his ambition came with shadows. He changed. Became cold. When she found out she was pregnant, she left, afraid he'd never accept the child or might destroy her life to protect his career. And she never told him. Until now. Now, fate had brought them back together in the cruelest, most impossible way. Through a stolen wallet, and a dying mother. And a little girl who just wanted to save the only person who ever loved her. Lila sat in the dim light of their crumbling apartment, the billionaire's wallet still trembling in her tiny hands. She hadn't even touched the money yet. The bills were crisp, more than she'd ever seen. But it wasn't the cash that shook her. It was the photo. Her mother. Smiling in a way Lila had never seen before. Carefree. Beautiful. Alive. And then, the paper. The one that cracked her entire world in two. She stared at the words again, mouthing them like a secret spell. Child, Lila M. Lopez. Father, Dominic A. Grayson. Probability, 99.98%. It didn't make sense. How could the man she just robbed, the man the world worshipped, be her father? Carmen stirred in bed, her breath shallow and uneven. Her skin looked like wax, pale and fragile. Lila rushed to her side. Mama. I took something. From a man. A rich man. I had to. Carmen's eyes blinked open, struggling to focus. Then she saw it, the wallet, and everything in her face changed. Her lips parted. Her soul seemed to leave her body for a moment. Where did you get this, Lila? Her voice cracked like broken glass. Where did you get this, Lila? Her voice cracked like broken glass. I bumped into him at the Lexington Hotel. He dropped it. I swear I didn't mean to, we needed money. Carmen's face turned ghost white. Her fingers clenched the blanket. Did you talk to him? She asked, almost afraid of the answer. No. He didn't even see me. But Mama, he had your photo. And a test. A test that said he's my father. Silence. Deafening. Sharp. And then. Carmen broke. She sobbed, not the kind of sobs Lila was used to, not quiet tears, but full, choking cries that seemed to come from the pit of her soul. I never wanted it to happen like this, she whispered. Tell me the truth, Mama, Lila said, her voice trembling. Who is he? Why does he have my name on a paper? Carmen sat up slowly, as if the truth weighed more than her illness. She looked into her daughter's eyes, the same icy blue eyes that Dominic had. "You're old enough now," she said softly. "You deserve to know everything." And with that, Carmen began to tell a story she had buried for 8 long years. Back when she was just 23, Carmen worked at a small Italian cafe in Brooklyn. One rainy afternoon, a scruffy young man in a hoodie came in, laptop in one hand, wild ideas in the other. He ordered black coffee, no sugar, every day for 3 weeks. His name? Dominic Grayson. He wasn't rich then. But he was obsessed with coding, startups, ambition, and, eventually, with her. Carmen. They fell in love fast. Too fast. He promised her the world. And for a while, she believed him. But success changed him. The moment he landed his first $1 million deal, something in his soul switched off. He became colder. More calculating. He told her he didn't have time for distractions. She became just another complication. And when she found out she was pregnant, he was gone. Not dead. Not abusive. Just vanished. Too busy chasing billions to face the life they created. "I never told him, Lila," Carmen said, wiping her tears. "I was scared. I thought he'd try to take you from me. Or worse, deny you." Lila's heart pounded. "So, he doesn't even know I exist?" Carmen nodded. "Until now, he had no idea." Lila stood in the center of the room, overwhelmed. A billionaire was her father. The man on Forbes covers. The man who had everything. And yet, he had nothing. Because he didn't have her. Outside, the wind howled against the cracked windows. Destiny was stirring. And just a few blocks away, inside a penthouse suite lit by gold chandeliers, Dominic Grayson was watching surveillance footage, pausing, zooming in, staring into the face of the little girl who had just stolen his wallet. A face with eyes just like his. He didn't know it yet. But his whole empire was about to crumble. At the hands of an 8-year-old girl. In a penthouse so high it touched the clouds, Dominic Grayson stood motionless, staring at the massive screen in his private security room. Surveillance footage from the Lexington Grand Hotel played back in sharp, colorless silence. Frame by frame. Second by second. "There," he said, his voice low and tight. "Zoom in." The camera focused. A little girl. Small. Dirty shoes. Torn hoodie. She bumped into him, apologized, and vanished. "Pause it," he ordered. He stared at her face, frozen mid-motion. For a brief second, her hood had slipped down, and her face was visible. Wide brown eyes. High cheekbones. And those eyes, those ice-blue eyes. He felt something stir deep inside him. A discomfort. A whisper. He leaned in. "Find her," he barked at his head of security. "Track every homeless shelter, every nearby school, hospital, foster registry, I don't care how long it takes. I want her name. I want everything." Dominic wasn't just angry. He was rattled. Dominic wasn't just angry. He was rattled. He'd been robbed before. Blackmailed. Betrayed. But this felt different. That little girl, her face haunted him. He returned to his office and sat down, the wallet recovered from the security desk sitting unopened in front of him. They found it tossed outside in the alleyway, missing nothing but the photo. He opened it slowly. The paternity test was still there. A sudden chill ran through his veins. He picked up the phone. "Get me every medical and public record for a woman named Carmen Lopez in the last 10 years. Cross-reference Brooklyn and Queens." Look for any link to a minor. Use my clearance. I don't care if it's legal. Dominic had tried to forget Carmen. The sweet, fire-hearted girl who served him espresso and wore sunflower earrings. The one who used to scribble poetry in napkins while he coded for 18 hours straight. She vanished from his life without a word. No calls. No messages. Nothing. And now, years later, a little thief with her face and his eyes shows up and disappears just as fast. It couldn't be a coincidence. Back in the dark apartment across the city, Lila couldn't sleep. She sat on the floor with her legs tucked under her, watching her mother rest, hooked up to the four she bought with the stolen money. She should have felt guilty. But all she felt was fire. Questions. Curiosity. Anger. How could he not know, she whispered to herself. How could he leave her? Leave me? She didn't hate him. Not yet. But something in her little heart shifted that night. She didn't just want to survive anymore. She wanted answers. And in the back of her mind, something else flickered. She wanted him to see her. Not as a thief. Not as a problem. But as the daughter he never knew he had. The next morning, Lila made a decision. I want to meet him, she told her mother. Carmen's eyes opened slowly. What? I want to meet Dominic Grayson. Even if he yells. Even if he calls the cops. I just want to know what kind of man leaves a woman like you, and forgets a girl like me. Carmen's lips trembled. She reached out and cupped Lila's face with a trembling hand. You're so much stronger than I ever was. You gave me no choice, Lila said. Meanwhile, Dominic's team pinged back. Match found. A Carmen Lopez, treated at a free clinic. One emergency visit just 3 days ago. Condition, kidney failure. Listed next of kin, Lila Lopez, age 8. Dominic stood completely still. The air in the room changed. He wasn't just a billionaire anymore. He wasn't the ruthless tycoon. He was something far more vulnerable. He was a father. And for the first time in his life, he didn't know what the hell to do. 3 days later, the lobby of Grayson Technologies was a fortress of glass, steel, and silence. People in tailored suits moved like clockwork, nobody paused, nobody looked around. Everyone was too busy chasing time and money. Until the elevator doors opened. And everything stopped. A frail woman, pale and hollow-eyed, stepped forward, holding the hand of a little girl. Carmen. And Lila, the same child who had once slipped into this man's world like a whisper, now walked in, head high, uninvited and unafraid. The receptionist blinked, confused. Ma'am, do you have an appointment? No, Carmen said softly, but tell him. Carmen Lopez is here. With his daughter. The silence in that lobby? It was explosive. Within 5 minutes, the elevator dinged again, and 2 bodyguards were escorting them up to the 72nd floor. At the top, Dominic Grayson stood by his floor-to-ceiling window, arms folded, gaze locked on the skyline. But his hands, they were shaking. He hadn't slept since the footage. Since the medical report. Since the blood test result he ran on his own the very next day. There was no more doubt. Lila was his daughter. But what he didn't know, what he couldn't prepare for, was the moment the door opened. And they walked in. Carmen. And the girl with his eyes. He turned slowly. His mouth opened, but no words came out. The room was silent for a moment so long, it hurt. You stole from me, he finally said. Voice calm. Cold. Measured. Lila didn't flinch. She took a step forward, chin up. I had to, she said, loud and clear. You were the only one who could save her. Dominic stared at her. The fire in her voice. The pride. The fearlessness. It was like looking in a mirror from another lifetime. And you, he said softly, turning to Carmen. You disappeared. You left. You never told me. Carmen looked down, tears threatening to spill. You were becoming someone else, Dominic. Someone who wouldn't have accepted this, her. I didn't want to beg for a place in your world. Dominic stepped closer. His voice cracked for the first time in years. You should have let me decide. And what would you have done? Carmen whispered. Thrown money at us? Signed a check and vanished? You think you were ready to be a father back then? The silence that followed was heavier than anything money could buy. And then, Lila did the unthinkable. She walked over. And placed the paternity test on his desk. You don't need to yell, she said quietly. We already know who you are. The question is, who are you going to be now? Dominic's jaw clenched. For a moment, he didn't move. He just looked at her, the little girl who'd stolen from him, and somehow, stolen his heart too. Then something broke inside him. He knelt down. Slowly. Carefully. Like he was afraid she'd vanish. And whispered. I didn't know, Lila. I swear to God, I didn't know. She didn't answer. Just looked into his eyes. Those same sharp, ice-blue eyes she saw in the mirror every day, and finally said. But you know now. Dominic nodded. His hand reached out. And this time, she didn't pull away. For the first time in his life, the billionaire who had everything, felt what it was like to finally hold something real. And for the first time in hers, Lila felt what it was like to have a father.